So I'm going to make an interesting video. It's a personal video, but I think that it is a video that I really do want to share with people, especially people who are struggling with tinnitus, since this has been something that has been close to my heart. I've experienced it. I know how bad it is. I know how terrifying it is. I know how brutal it can be and how lonely it can be. So with that being said, I want to share with you kind of what led me up to going to the mental hospital. What was it like in the mental hospital, and sort of, the whole, situation with that. So basically, I was it was around April, and it was a couple years ago, and I was sitting on the couch, and I just kind of I noticed my ear was like ringing like really loud, and I was like, why is this happening? I don't, I've had tinnitus for a while, before prior, but it was very quiet, and it was something that never really bothered me, and I didn't know why it was now bothering me. So that kind of freaked me out. I realized my ear was like kind of full. I had fullness in the ear. And so I got up and I just kind of freaked out. I was like, I need to go on a run and I need to try to shake this feeling. Maybe I'm feeling weird. Maybe something is happening. I don't know. But I went on a run, and that didn't really help because it kind of triggered in my brain like, hey, I'm in fight or flight response. Like there's something to be afraid of or something like that. And so I was like, I'm going to go get and see, like, I know I have problems with like earwax. So I was like, well, I'm going to go and see a doctor or whatever and see if there's a problem with earwax. So I went, had my ears looked out, and they said, no, there's no earwax issues. And I still felt like my ear felt full, and it was ringing really loud, like really loud. And I was like, well, why is this happening? I don't know, like, what's going on with this. So a few days went by, and it ended up getting worse to the point where like I literally like couldn't hear. Like, I don't want to say like couldn't hear anything. It's just like my smell was off, my taste was off. I just felt disoriented, and my ear was I just felt very out of it. I wasn't getting a lot of sleep, had a lot of anxiety. The ringing was still there, and so it was just kind of, it brought me to a place where I was like, all right, I need to go see someone. So I went to an urgent care practice, and there actually, by and large, was earwax in my ear. I don't know why the first people told me there wasn't, but they said no, there is. So they flushed it out. And the doctor looked in there and said, you have an ear infection. It was in my left ear. You have an ear infection, and, you didn't have to take some sort of antibiotic. And so I was like, okay. And I was a little hesitant at first because it was like amoxicillin. I was like, does this cause tinnitus? Because I've heard of autotoxic antibacterial drugs or whatever. He said, no, it's fine. Just take it. So I took it. And that, I didn't want to take it, whatever, but I took it, and it made me kind of tired, and I left, and I was like, oh, okay, well, I have an ear infection, like all is going to be well, whatever. And so, I was taking the treatment, and once I got through the treatment, it was like a 2-week treatment. Like my hearing didn't really get better, like I would go on like hikes, and I remember like my ears would pop and be like, and I would have like this horrible distortion in my ears. Tinnitus was still there. It was still causing trauma and stress in my life. And, yeah, I just didn't feel like things were getting better. I didn't feel like the ringing was going away. And, now that I know that like oral antibiotics, I've heard a lot of doctors say that it doesn't really do much for your ear infection. If you want to do real antibiotics, you have to like put it in the ear and all that sort of thing. I didn't know at the time. I wasn't a doctor, but, whatever. You don't know what you don't know. So anyway, I remember after, and I was reaching out to like general practitioners at the time, and I found a general practitioner, and they charged me a certain amount of money a month. And I remember like after I took the treatment of antibiotics, I think it was a month after, or something like that, after this ear infection, I sort of just was at a very like dark place, kind of like there's ringing was still there. It was still very loud. My ears were still giving me trouble. It just was a lot of different things, and it was really causing an emotional spike in me. Not to mention, there's been a lot of people in my life very young who have had cancer and have passed away. And so that was there, like in my back of my mind, I'm like, oh my God, like I have this. And my thoughts had gotten the best of me. They did. They got the best of me, and I'm thinking, oh my God, the worst case scenario is going to happen, and I'm just going to die, or I'm going to go deaf, or something's going to happen, horribly is going to happen. I really did believe that. And that led to, after months of this, like a month basically of going through this, I remember I woke up in the middle of the night and I heard just like the loudest sounds in my ear. It was like crickets on like full blast. I never heard the sound before. And I was like, I got up and I was just like, feeling so terrible. And I was just so like out of it and disoriented. I was thinking to myself like, oh my God, this is it. This is getting worse. I'm going deaf. There's definitely something wrong. And in that instant, I just couldn't sleep. Like something had like triggered inside of me. And that went on to the whole day. I didn't get, I was just out of it. I didn't have any sleep. I was just a wreck. I had, ringing in the ears. I couldn't sleep. It was horrible. I couldn't sleep that night. And I remember like not being able to sleep and just laying in bed, tossing and turning is the worst feeling ever. Is especially if you have tinnitus with it, plus anxiety conditions, plus depression. You think you think like the worst is the case scenario is happening. Like you can really start to get to a dark place. And that's what had happened to me. And so like I didn't sleep the whole night, and I was actually sober for 4 years, and I went and got a bottle of wine and just chugged the whole thing to try to put me to sleep. Anything at that point didn't work, and I stayed up all night. And I remember like looking outside, and it was like 5 a.m. and I was like, I didn't sleep. I was like, this is horrible. So this went on for this was and then that morning I believe I reached out to my general practitioner. I was like, I can't sleep, and they weren't able to get me in for like a day or two later or something like that. So I was already on like 2 or 3 days of no sleep because I couldn't sleep. And I was online ruminating, and I thought that I had some sort of like genetic no sleep disease, and I was going to die from no sleep. And apparently that's a thing, but it's very rare. But I thought I had it because, I'm a hypochondriac. But anyway, I went into my general practitioner, and I was just like devastated. I had no sleep, tinnitus. I was like, man, something's going wrong. I think I have a brain disease, or my brain's fault. There's something wrong with me. I have a tumor. I don't know. Like I'm just messed up, and I think I'm going to die or something like that. I can't sleep. And so they took my blood. They thought I was on narcotics. They took drug tests of me. I'm completely 100% sober, right? They were really concerned about me. So they sent me to get evaluated, I guess, which it was the time during COVID where a lot of people taking their own lives. And they were really concerned about, people came in that were in a bad place. They were really concerned about them. So I didn't know I was going to a mental hospital at the time. I thought I was going to talk to a psychiatrist to get on some sort of sleep aid, because that's what I was like, hey, can you give me a sleep aid? My doctor didn't do it. I don't know why he didn't. I stopped seeing that doctor, but wouldn't prescribe me a sleep aid. Basically told me I needed to go to a psychiatrist. I thought I was going to a psychiatrist. It was actually a mental hospital. And so I go to the mental hospital. I don't really know it's a mental hospital. Mind you, I'm on like 4 or 5 days of sleep deprivation. So it's like even hard for me to drive my car at the time. I go there, and I get in the building. They take my phone from me, and it doesn't like register I'm in a mental hospital. I'm like in the bathroom, and I like look at the doors, and I'm like, why aren't there any door handles? Oh, it's because people try to kill themselves. And then I'm like, I'm in a mental hospital. And I know that might sound silly, but if you take sleep deprivation and you think you're going to talk to a psychiatrist, and it's I was basically in there for a psych evaluation, and I didn't know that. I just thought I was going to talk to a psychiatrist. I literally thought I was going to a business park to some sort of office space. I'm going to talk to a psychiatrist. They're going to try to get me some sort of medicine to help me sleep. That's what I thought, but no, it was a psych evaluation. So anyway, I was freezing cold in there because it was summer at the time, and I was in a t-shirt, and I was freezing cold. And they asked you like, would you like a blanket? So I was like, yeah. So they give me a blanket. I'm on the couch like freezing, and they're doing this evaluation on me, and I'm like sitting there thinking like, man, I really feel crazy because I don't have any sleep. I'm like, I have depersonalization because like I have no sleep, ringing in my ears. Like I'm just like on edge, and I'm freezing on a couch in a mental hospital. So looking back, I can laugh at it, but at the time it was like really, really dark. It was like just such a very scary place. But I don't know if they keep it cold in there on purpose to kind of make people feel crazier. Cause like they ask you all these questions, and I'm thinking like, I'm like, no, I don't want to hurt myself. I don't want to hurt other people. I'm not hearing voices in my head. I just kept telling them, like, I can't sleep. It's caused by tinnitus, which is a ringing in the ears. Okay. And so I'm just trying to get to sleep. And they basically came back and said, well, you're not crazy enough, like, to stay here, like, against your will. If you want to stay here, you can. And we recommend you do, because it costs like thousands of dollars to stay here. And we can get you on Ambien. So they tempt you with the drugs. Like this place was like, I'm going to use a swear word here. So just this, but this place is fucked up because they hijack your emotions, right? They hold it hostage, and they basically hold the cure hostage. They know you want to get to sleep. We can get you to sleep. Pay us $5,000 and we'll help get you to sleep. And they literally sent somebody in, like a greasy car salesman, to try to sell you on multiple thousands of dollar basically, essentially what they're going to do is basically sell you Ambien for like $5,000. That's literally the deal. I was just like, this is so dumb. They even told me things like, if you go home, you might do something stupid, like walk into traffic, and they had to call my house to make sure there were no guns and knives and stuff like that. Because they just treat you really poorly. Like, I feel bad for people that end up in mental hospitals. But that's how they felt. I felt they treated me very poorly and were trying to take advantage of me. So I left. I was like, well, if I don't have to stay here, I'm not freaking staying here. So I left. And as soon as I walked out that building and the sun hit my face, I knew I was going to be okay. I'm like, I'm not going to find my healing in that freaking building. I'm going to find my healing out into the world and just giving myself the space to just kind of just breathe. I knew I felt so good that I made it out of there, because I was like, I can go lay in a field, I can go by the creek, I can be in nature, I can be places that are going to actually heal me. This institution is not going to heal me. It's probably going to make me worse. I don't need to be in there. I just need to give myself space. I went home, and that night I took like the max dose of Benadryl, and I didn't actually sleep. And so I didn't sleep right away. But what ended up happening was one of my friends got a teledoctor visit with me. They got me on hydroxyzine, and I took that. And I remember like the first night I slept 8 hours, and I woke up and I was just like, I slept. Like, I can finally sleep again. It was the most amazing feeling in the world. I can't describe to you how horrible insomnia is, and once you overcome it and you can finally sleep again, it's amazing. But one of the things that stood out with me, somebody said this to me, is they said with insomnia, you cannot force yourself to go to sleep. You must accept it. You cannot force yourself to go to sleep, and you must put yourself in a position where sleep is possible, but you're not addicted to the outcome of sleeping or not. If you sleep, great. If you don't, who cares? And that has to be your attitude. And when that's your attitude, you actually get back to sleep. And I haven't suffered with insomnia since then, and I haven't been taking sleep medicine. If I get to sleep, I sleep. If I sleep poorly one night, oh well. If I sleep great one night, oh well. I don't care if I sleep or not. It is what it is. That's my attitude now. It wasn't at the time I was trying to force my way to sleep and force myself to sleep and force all these other things, force myself to not hear tinnitus, force myself this or that, shaming myself because I felt bad that I heard tinnitus. And once I let go of all of that, I was able to just kind of naturally gravitate into a place of just a natural rhythm where I finally found my healing. So I'm going to stop the video here. I urge you, join the Facebook group below, smash the subscribe button, hit the notification bell if you like this kind of content, you want to see more of this content, and get on a 15-minute coaching call with me if you're struggling, you want to talk to somebody. Hit the links, and they're in the description below, and also make sure to comment below, and I will personally go through and answer as many of these comments as I can. Thank you for watching.